We have another fairly significant trade to discuss here today. The Blackhawks and the Panthers have hooked up on a 5-player deal. We'll discuss the details coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have some more breaking news from around the NHL. Many teams not waiting for the deadline to get their business taken care of, although I have a feeling this trade might be something that sets up another one here before we get to Monday, April 12th as well. So here are the details on the trade between the Panthers and the Hawks, who obviously like to trade together. We've seen it happen numerous times. A lot of former Hawks end up in Florida and vice versa. So here's what we have. The Florida Panthers are certainly opening up some space. They come out ahead here by about $3.5 million cap-wise, which will certainly help them add at the deadline. Not that they really needed to have a lot of room at it because they were already decent shape that way. But here we go. They've traded Brett Connolly, who has 2 more years left on his deal at $3.5 million. So he's included going to the Chicago Blackhawks. They've also included Riley Stillman, 23-year-old defenseman, not really a prospect anymore, not a regular player either. He's got 3 years pro under his experience here now. He's played in 8 games, I believe, this year, no points. I think he's got around 43 or 48 regular NHL games under his belt now. So he's still an intriguing guy who could become a regular NHL player. He's the son of former NHLer Corey Stillman. So certainly, a good prospect, but hard to say where he fits with Chicago longer term. They do have a lot of their own blue line prospects and younger guys that are, starting to take on bigger roles there. So we'll see where that goes, but still an interesting guy. And they also get Henrik Borgstrom, who's a former first-round pick of the Panthers, played through the University of Denver, had a solid college career, and has never really worked out with Florida. Seems like he kind of fell out of favor there, hasn't played with them this year. A guy that I almost could have said 100% would be traded either at the deadline or in the offseason. Like, he needed a fresh start somewhere else. Chicago was willing to take that on and add another young player that could help them for the future. So Borgstrom's a really interesting guy. I'll be curious to see under some different coaching, different organization, how things work out, because I know before, when he was first drafted, he was really looked upon as being a fairly high-end prospect. So we'll see how this helps him here long-term. And they also included in that a 7th-round pick in the 21 NHL draft going to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, coming back to the Florida Panthers are a couple of pieces who very well could end up between the taxi squad, maybe end up in the minors. They could play, but not necessarily pieces that have to go under cap hit here. They get Lucas Wallmark, who certainly has a decent amount of NHL experience. Could certainly be a guy to fill in there when needed. And they also get Lucas Carlson, also another younger defenseman. But again, both players are not necessarily players that have to be on the NHL roster, so there's some flexibility there. So if you think about it, there's 2 players going each way here that are not necessarily have to be on NHL rosters right now. So essentially, the Panthers clear $3.5 million of cap space. So the Hawks, as we know, were a team we discussed before, many of our trade talk and trade rumor videos leading into this deadline, that had some space because they have so many players in LTIR that were willing to use that as long as they could get some sweetener. So obviously they were willing to take the contract of Brett Connolly in exchange for getting a couple of good-looking younger players like Stillman and Borgstrom. So certainly that works for them. Now Brett Connolly, like I said, 2 years left at $3.5 million per. Had a bit of a breakout season with the Capitals. Left via free agency, went to Florida. His first year was okay, but he's really fallen off this year. Fallen out of favor with the coaching staff, and it's just really, his scoring is way down. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists in 21 games. He's been a healthy scratch at times, so we will see. But again, the Hawks had the space. They're willing to eat that contract to get the other younger assets that they obviously found interesting enough to do that in. And now the Florida Panthers are rumored to be working on some bigger and better things here, and getting some extra space will certainly help their cause with that. Now, I've seen rumblings that they're in on Taylor Hall. We know that the Islanders were in on Hall before they did the Palmieri trade. They felt the deal with the New Jersey Devils was the better one to go with, better package here. So they went that route and got Zajac and Palmieri from the Devils. Obviously, that was a really solid deal for the Islanders, in my opinion. And then, obviously, there's other teams now going after Hall, and that includes Florida. Now, in the case of Florida, they also have the Aaron Ekblad injury to be concerned about. Obviously, that gives them some LTIR space to work with. So like I said, they didn't really have to open up space, but this gives them that much more flexibility to do something more significant if they wish to do so but they do have a hole on that blue line that's going to be really tough to fill. I would say David Savard's a prime target for them. Bill Zito knows him well from their time in Columbus together, so I'm not to say for sure that they'll get him, but I would think he's probably right at the top of their list to add on the blue line, and Hall seems to be right at the top of their list to add in the forward group. They could go other directions. They could even bring back Mike Hoffman from St. Louis. I'm not sure if they'd entertain that, but that's a possibility. So we will see. Florida is a team that I do believe was going to do something, or at least try their hardest, and now they have more flexibility to do something more significant, and I'm not sure how quickly it's going to come to be. It could be today. It could be right on deadline day. We'll have to stay tuned and find out, but the Panthers seem to be preparing themselves to be more aggressive, and be curious to see what they do next. So let me know your thoughts on this trade and what you think they're going to do next down in the comments, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.